Okay, the Series 1 Lambretta is in the takeoff position because just underneath here are two rubber bump stops, and so when these arms, which are spring loaded, hit the bottom dead, they should hit the top of these nice new rubbers. In order to fit these new bump stops, you need to compress the springs which are in here, and so that's why you need another specialist tool. The Lambretta Doctor is in. So that's the state of them, or what's left of it. I mean, it's absolutely mangled. Now, I know everybody watching this will have probably already purchased one of these ordinary compressors, but in my opinion, they are absolutely crap. Look how I'm struggling just to get the bottom stop back in. I haven't even compressed the spring fully and removed it all yet. So I'm just putting the top one in just to quickly show you the limitations of these compressors. What I've done is get an ordinary coil spring compressor that you'd use on a McPherson strut and just weld a beak to that. And there's a good few reasons for that, one of which is the fact that the pattern push rods that you get when you replace the spring assembly, you order new push rods and new springs. The new springs are generally crap and the new push rods are oversized. So the actual claw in the traditional compressor that you can see here isn't really adequate to reach around the diameter at the bottom of the ball of the pattern push rods. Yeah, so on the whole subject of the spring compression, in order to get the supporting link arm out, this is the spring one compresses. And don't forget, it's got this little top hat section on the top, which you can fish out with a piece of wire if it sticks in. But look how I've removed this with the greatest of ease by looping some thick wire around it and having secured the forks in a vise, just put a foot noose on there. So once this is secured in a vise, you can stand on the noose you've made in the wire and that will compress the spring just as easily. You can see there's a difference in profile. And remember always that the higher profile goes into what will be the lower part of the fork, and the lower profile ones go in the what will be the upper side of the fork. These swing arms are a real hell's-own job to get back in with hardly any movement to spare between the two new rubbers. So, you know, if you get these in the wrong way, it could prove very problematic. If you put them in the wrong way both sides, that would be bad enough. But if you put them in one way one side and another way the other side, you definitely get some uneven suspension. Move that up and down now. There's much less movement because now, of course, we've got brand new rubber, which you can just see in there. The brand new rubber is not going to let that ride up. So you can see it's a right old faff compressing them springs and putting a new set of these in. And I see plenty of pictures of people trying to do that on the scooter. Take the forks off, it's a right faff anyway. So now we've got the bump stops refitted, top and bottom, and the little 10mm bolts are holding the new bump stops in place. And we've actually got the spindle back in, we've compressed the spring, moved the swing arm so that we've been able to get the spindle back in. Everything's cool. But bear in mind, these are 10mm bolts that hold the bump stops in position. And if you over torque these, they will snap like carrots very easily. I think anything above sort of 15 foot-pound and you're sort of on thin ice. But yeah, that's basically the thing reassembled. So I'll torque these up, put some thread lock on, tidy everything up and get these forks ready for a repaint before I refit. Just very quickly, and I don't really want to labour the point, but there's so many different things that can go wrong with this so-called straightforward job. These are the sort of pattern replacement push rods you're going to get, and this is one that's broken off from an original. And if I compare the two, you can see there's a pretty big difference. This one is, I would say, a good 2 mil, maybe 2.2 mil wider than that one. That's to say, wider at this juncture, where that is supposed to fit. Now, as you can see, that isn't going to fit. That's okay for me because I've got a workshop and welding gear, and I can make up a different size jaw, which I have done on another spring compressor. But again, it's a heads up that when you're ordering new push rods, you're going to have a problem with sizing. A lot of the pattern ones are oversized. For those thinking this is a straightforward job, think again. This is the pattern sort of push rod you're going to get. It's much larger than the other size push rod, so I've had to make a new jaw to accommodate it. Now, as you can see, what I've used is a traditional spring compressor from McPherson strut, and I'll show you how I've made this. And I know you've seen similar things. We'll all be familiar with a McPherson strut spring compressor, and as you can see, I've just welded on a piece with a bigger jaw that can and does actually fit over that. And then, of course, that's fitted to the leg with a Jubilee clip, and the natural curve of the McPherson strut will, instead of grabbing a coil spring this time, easily grabs the edge of a exhaust clamp. So we're going to tidy these up now, and then we'll get some nice 2K Old English white on these, I think, to match the scooter, which was originally in Old English white, if I recall. I did this one some years ago. As you can see, I took this opportunity to clean up all the ancillaries and to repaint the front forks and the front wheel, and a little bit of detailing just makes such a huge difference. The ride on this Series 1 is 1,000 times nicer now, and it really irons out the bumps beautifully, whereas prior to changing the bump stops, it used to make a huge clonk. But the main takeaways from this clip are that you need to realise that the traditional spring compressor would probably be inadequate. And the fact that you can use some 4mm wire to compress the springs, as I show you in the video, if you haven't got a compressor at all. But my advice would be to modify a car spring compressor, again, as I showed in the video. But also remember, very importantly, the difference in the bump stop profiles and where they fit. And as I say, to try doing bump stop changes with the forks in situ is a mistake, in my opinion. So I hope this all helps, and don't forget to visit my eBay shop, My Splendid Emporium, for lots of lammy parts you might need.